This is a short take from Building Bridges, San Francisco, with WTPN, with your host Mark Mosini and Jerry Davis, and their guest Sean Ollie Stone.
Yeah, of course, they're captivated by the fame, the overall allure that celebrity seems to impose. But actually, when you see it in the behind the scenes, the reality of it, it's not. It really is not that. Many of the people in the industry are very insecure people. They're not, even really they're not their own people in a sense. They're very much managed by others, looking for confirmation, validation constantly, and so it's a constant rat race inside the business of trying to prove yourself. And as everyone, the old expression goes, "You're only as good as your last film." It's actually you're only as good as the last film was perceived to be. This culture of making and breaking, where Lindsay Lohan, Kim Kardashian, Paris Hilton, that kind of phenomenon of let's talk about someone, raise them up, drop them, get them in jail, then that turns into they become a phenomenon in their own right, and it takes away, I think, from the quality of what someone's actually trying to do in creation. It should be about the work itself, not about the spectacle of the person going through some creative drama. An hour ago, I'm sitting in an office in Century City across from an agent, and I look out the window, and there's a ship parked above South Los Angeles, just hovering there, exactly as you would see in Independence Day or V or any of these films. It's not moving. We sat there for about 20 minutes, just kept watching it. And the irony is, no one looks up in the city. So, it's very rare to actually, be in a position of eye level to be able to see far enough to actually see it visually, but also to notice it. Most people would probably, glance and just their eye would keep moving, and they think it's a plane. But literally, it's a visible ship. I'm not sure if any news. If anyone picked it up on the news or YouTube or whatnot, the helicopters did go out to the position, and I don't know if it's if it's some kind of extra dimensional entity or if it's a military doing a test to see how people would respond. But truly, it's ironic because the guy also I said, "Look, what is that?" And the guy across from me goes, "Oh, this is the end of the world." Okay, great. I'm gonna go back to eating. I'm gonna put it that truly, like, see a ship, and it's like this is like out of a movie, and now I'm going to go back to my meeting and have my coffee. So it's very interesting what's going to unfold in this time period, and I guarantee you it will get more and more strange. Although they might have to use certain things like storms or whatnot to try to cover. I mean, even a month ago, there was a nuclear blast in Michigan. The radiation levels went off the charts. Went about 1,000 degrees. Sorry, 1,000% up in terms of the radiation levels, and then a day later or 2 days later, the government said, "Oh no, that was a mistake."
Yeah, I read about that a little bit. They totally swept that underneath the rug.
So what really happened there? I'm told there was some kind of battle between our space command, our naval, the Navy has a space fleet that's actually already all over the solar system, and we have a tremendous presence in space, but it's all covered up, never disclosed. Between our space fleet and some kind of interdimensional beings who are coming from gold. Now, there's all kinds of speculation. I can't say for sure, but it's definitely worth investigating.
That's interesting too.
Yeah, absolutely. I think most people would, if they hear these things, they think that these are some conspiracy theories, and that this cannot be true. But you're right. We're just so focused in our lives that. You're right. No one even looks up to notice what is going on.
Whenever you have a guy that is quoted as saying it used to be easier to control 1 million people than to kill 1 million people, but is now infinitely more easier to kill 1 million people than control 1 million people, there is nothing good in that phrase.
Yeah.
On either part.
Who said that?
Brzezinski.
Brzezinski said that.
Yes.
Yeah, but this is what they do. I mean, people don't understand. People think you're at Harvard or Princeton. I mean, I'm at Princeton. I got a little glimpse of it. They think you go to a university like that, and you're such a smart guy. You must be good.
Yes.
Believe me, the smartest guys can also be the most evil guys. like we knew this from psychology classes where you would look at game theory. Game theory was started partly at Princeton, and that's basically where you have dilemmas where it's like you basically are a criminal and you work with another guy, and the question is who's going to screw the other one first. So really, you have to be smart and figure out how far, what the stakes are essentially, how much you can get before you have to hurt your friend, or else are you going to cooperate and help your friend? But that's the risk of him screwing you, right? So when you get into these game theories, the economists are always the best at this game because they are just straight numbers. They figure the odds. They're just banking on odds. They don't have any morality when it comes to their fellow man. They just look at everyone as an animal. It's like, you're just another beast. If you had the opportunity to kill me, you do it. It's only because it's like Freudian. It's like only because the laws are against you, you don't kill me. But if the law's on your side, if you're in government, the law's on your side. Who's the biggest mafia in the world? It's the American government because they have the military. Ours is the strongest military. That's the biggest mob. That's the big mob enforcer. So really, whoever is in power is the biggest criminal because whatever they say, they have the power to enforce it.
Yeah, so you're talking about social
Darwinism, essentially.
That's why the British Empire promoted that concept.
It's social stratification theory is what that is, and what that is when people are divided into layers, and they're separated relating to their power, prestige, and so forth. And that's actually a legitimate social term is stratification, and the whole thing of the classification system is based on the class system itself is based on slavery.
I want to ask you, Sean, about I'll ask you the question because I think it's the same question that Bill O'Reilly asked, except he was advertising, which they skew the programs towards the message they want to send, like you were talking about. But what do you think of Ahmadinejad? What do you feel about that president? Is there anything?
I don't. To be honest with you, I don't get involved in the political situation in Iran. There's many. There's points of view both ways. I don't know the political scheme. I simply know that when it came to the idea that he was, promoting the war with Israel, I think that was all overblown. It was media designed, largely by the Zionist sector within the media and whatnot to promote this idea that war is coming between Israel and Iran. I don't believe that it has to come. I don't think that the people want it. And so, to really misconstrue what Ahmadinejad was saying about Israel's occupation of Jerusalem, which is an illegal occupation, okay, that is an important point. And I don't think he should be skewered for saying these kind of things, which is that Israel currently is occupying Jerusalem. It has no right to do so. It's an occupier. It's an occupier of most of the West Bank, and that's not, that is. There is no neither moral nor international justification for that. Now, as for the actual existence of Israel, at this point, there's no point at this point in history, you can't rescind its existence. It's there. There are people there. I can't say that I agree with the Iranian government who will not accept the legitimacy of Israel as a nation. I think we have to in order to move on. Yes. But I understand that it's a Crusader kingdom. It was designed to be as such. It was designed by, the Rothschild faction within London using but it's a British Empire policy. The Rothschilds are just one aspect of that. And it's an agenda to create this kind of division because that's what they did 1,000 years ago when they sent the Crusaders, and those were Catholics. Okay, the Catholics went there at that point, the knights and whatnot, to go and conquer Jerusalem. They killed Jews and Muslims both, right? So historically, Muslims and Jews have gotten along in the region. They've lived together, but using Israel as a divisive grenade, in a sense, has strategically worked. And it's time to move on beyond that thinking and talk about how we're going to develop the whole region using industry, using maglev trains, using irrigation techniques and agriculture, using desalination of water and things like this, that we can actually have a growing industrious population for the next 1,000 years. I mean, to think in those terms and not over this little piece of land called Israel. It's not worth it.
We've reached the end of our show here. We're joined by Sean Ollystone. And before we say goodbye to Sean, Sean, do you have any last things you want to say to our listeners?
No, I think I said what I had to say, and hopefully it's insightful.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you so much, and I appreciate that. It's an honor to have you on our show. We'd love to have you in the future. And there's so many. I was preparing this interview, and there's just so many things to ask you. You're incredibly interesting, and I know that our listeners are going to enjoy this very much. So thanks very much.
Yes,
Absolutely.
thank you very much.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Sean.
All right, have a good day.
You too.
Good night.
Good night.
So, okay then, that will do it. Please go ahead and join us next time on WTPN, Building Bridges San Francisco. We are trying to do exactly what our name says, building bridges between people. We just had a very exciting interview with Sean Ollie Stone. And the aim of our radio show here is that our message is that we are one family and we should begin to see each other that way. I hope everyone will join us again. I want to wish everyone a wonderful day or evening wherever you are listening from. And good evening from San Francisco.